Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. This video wasn't planned. I had a devlog planned for today, but I'm pushing that to next week because last week's video got so many new subscribers. Pretty much I expected that because of the title and the topic, and a lot of positive feedback on that, but because I have so many new subscribers, welcome, hi, hello, thanks for also watching the next video, and hopefully you also check previous videos because there's a lot of gold in there. Today's video I'm gonna give some probably helpful tips for a lot of game developers out there who can't make or who can't complete their game. And that's just the biggest problem for many game developers. So I'm gonna give you some tips on how I do it. Layered game development, developing stuff in stages, and I've been doing it like this for the last couple of games at least, or a lot of games, and you can actually check the playlist. There are a couple of making of playlists and they will show you how I build my games, and I will explain those layers in this video after the intro. That's a thing on this channel. First I do a little bit, then we do an intro, and then we dive into the good stuff. Alright, intro. Okay, so how do I build up my games? And this happens in different phases or stages and different topics of game design, I guess. I'm calling them the 7 layers of game development. But before I start on those 7, there's something you want to create. That's layer 0, a rough idea, type of setting, a type of thing. That can either be a scribble on a piece of paper or napkin. It can also be a full game design document. I prefer the first because I don't like the second. A lot of work, and during game development you'll be changing a bunch of things. So at the end of your project, that game design document is probably worthless because you can't design everything on paper. You need to play something and feel if it works or not. You can't design that beforehand. So you can design a lot, you can plan for a lot of things, but you can just scribble those things and keep the rest in to-do list or in your head. I prefer to-do list in this case because that leaves a lot of space in my head. So layer 1, or let me just show you the layers. I'll show a graphic on the screen somewhere now, I hope. So layer 1, player movement. Pretty much that's where I start my game. I want a character on the screen and want the player to be able to move it. In a platformer, this means running, walking, jumping, climbing, falling, diving, rolling, wall climbing, all those type of things we want to add and build into the game. Of course, in a top-down game, it's movement in all the directions, shooting in all directions, things like that. What can the player do? And let's build it as soon as possible so that we can at least interact with it and start moving. And that's layer 1, but of course, without anything to move in, there's not going to be much to play around with. So that's layer 2, the environment or the layout of the world or the game world that the player will be in. This layer is not just creating levels, it's also what do we need from levels and how are we going to make those levels. I love procedural generation, so my first attempt is always to see if I can build interesting levels that I need for this game using procedural generation. Again, in Space Grunts you can see me create levels in a certain way that evolved over time. Residual, I had the character up and running and then created levels, which was based on how I did levels in other games. So I already knew what to do there. In my new game, Regulator City, I took a lot of time, like weeks, months even, to try and create procedural generated levels for this game, but it just wasn't working. Did a couple of videos on that. Eventually, I made a level editor for it, and now I can create a bunch of areas and environments. We have player control, so those layers are now covered for Regulator City. And I'm currently working in layer 3, and that's interactions. The player can now move around. We have a structure that he can move around in. What is he gonna be doing in that structure? So this contains everything from enemies, but also switches, elevators, doors, objects that you interact with. Pretty much anything that the player can interact with, good or bad. So something that might hunt him and shoot him, but other stuff that he might be needing to solve puzzles or to get further into the game. This ties in, of course, to layer 2, where we create the layout of the level. If we want to make interesting levels, we'll probably be adding things like doors or mechanics or whatever, lasers, interactive stuff. So layer 3, once we have movement done, layout done, let's start adding interaction. And that's pretty much layer 3, where I am now with Regulator City. I'm now working on the enemies, making them more intelligent, moving around the level, trying to shoot you, trying to hunt you, and also creating devices that you can operate and work with and things like that. Layer 3. Now, before I continue on layer 4, these are layers, but they are not extremely separated from each other. All these layers, over time, you will work a little bit on layer 3 while you're still tweaking or figuring out layer 1 and 2. There is a little bit of overlap here, and that's fine, and that actually works very well, because that way you can fix stuff that isn't working from layer 1. So maybe player isn't moving correctly or isn't climbing ledges correctly. You can fix that while you're also implementing new stuff from layer 3 or 4. Just make sure that the main core stuff, the real important stuff, is working before you move to the next layer. That's pretty much what I keep in my mind, so that I do know that this is gonna work, the player is gonna be able to do this, so we can continue working on everything else that is built on what the player is gonna be able to do. Because if you're gonna start adding enemies that can do certain things, but then you figure out the player is not capable of actually doing anything against it, you have a serious problem, and the whole game, or at that point, you might actually get stuck in your game development and decide, the game sucks, I'm gonna restart something else, and then you wasted a lot of time. So you can work on multiple layers, just make sure the core, the important stuff of every layer is up and running before you continue on other stuff. All right, layer 4. Layer 4 is wrapping up stuff nicely and neatly, interface things like transition from level to level, make them more spicy, more interesting, not just they or there, make something happen, maybe a little cutscene or an animation here and there, all that extra sauce that turn like a prototype into something more completed. So wrapping can be anything like menu structures, menu interface, pause screen, and add a little bit of extra funny things here and there as well, because that just enhances your game so much more. And that brings us to layer 5. So layer 5 is story. And I know some games story is extremely important. For my games, usually there is some sort of story and I have a vague idea of what I want, but the story elements don't get added to the game until I actually have a game. So layer 5 for me is adding story, a little dialogue here and there with NPCs, or little information boxes, maybe some extra animations here and there in between areas or levels. Also tutorial type things, or hints, or whatever you want to call those things, or how you want to fix those things. Just pretty much give the player more of a sense that they're in a certain world. There is something going on, there is a story there, and this is how you actually operate the game. We now know how you operate the game. We have all those layers covered, so let's give the player some hints and tips and tutorial and information. And that's layer 5. Usually not the most fun thing to do, but it's very close to finishing up a game. So that should really give you the boost to add these things, because you almost completed the game and the core is there, the mechanics are there. And that brings us to probably the most fun layer, I think. Layer 6. Where are you? There you are. Layer 6. Extra gameplay elements, things the player doesn't need or expect or whatever. This can be things like achievements, in-game achievement type things. Extra goals. I like to add codex and stats menus so that people can unlock certain information and that gets shown in the codex. You don't need those things, but if you're really die-hard fan of the game and you want to really get everything in the game, you will go for such things. So very easy to implement often, because you base it on things you already added to the game. You have 10 different enemies. Unlock information on those 10 enemies when the player defeats like 100 of each type. You defeat 100 of imps, you get information on imps in your codex. Very simple to implement, but it adds so much extra to a game, especially to people who love your game, but also to people who might not like your game, but they will notice all this extra effort and data and information available in the game. So codex, stats, unlockables, achievements, you name it. It depends on every game what you can add, but whatever you can come up with, they will just spice up your game. And I'm gonna move back over there. So if you could turn around, then we can talk about layer 7. this camera thing is... All right, here we are. Layer 7. This is pretty much finishing your game, wrapping it up, final stuff that you want to do or need to do. This can vary from localization. Maybe you want to translate everything. Keep in mind this will put a lot of effort and time on your interface as well, because other languages might need more space and room to render text. Very important to keep that in mind when you're doing all your interface stuff. But layer 7, wrapping it up, finishing it up, testing, obviously, make sure everything is working, and possibly implement platform specific stuff like achievements. You might have built achievements into your game with all the extras, but you will want to actually upload them to Steam, iOS, Android, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. You need to implement those things. That's usually something you do with like 1 or 2 games, and then you have a way to just copy and paste that into your future games, but it's still something that needs to be done. Layer 7, the wrap up, it's not a lot of work, it's mostly just you're done. Be happy about that, make sure everything is done and everything is ready, and release your game, which is a whole other topic for another video probably. Yeah, that's when all the pain starts. Anyway, that's the 7 layers of game development, or at least for me. And now if you ask me in like 6, 7, 8 months what is layer 4, I have no idea. I don't number these layers, I don't have a checklist when I create games, but this is pretty much the stages I go through when I create my game. So for me it's become very natural to do it like this. Been doing it like this for many games, and like I said at the beginning, you can watch playlists on my older games that I created, and you will notice these stages from start to finish. And that's pretty much what we're doing now with Regulator City. And next week's video will be another devlog showing you a bunch of new things. And now at step 3, it took a long time to get there. The environment and especially the player controls for this game have been a pain in the pain. It's been a pain. But I think we're getting there, so now we can start working on interaction, and that's a fun part. And hopefully that will go a lot faster than the first 2 layers. Alright, one question you might have is, when do you stop prototyping and turn it into an actual game? For me, the prototyping stage is pretty much the first 3 layers. Once you start working on interaction, you will actually know if a game is fun or if it isn't. And you can try and change the interactions. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. End of prototype, stupid idea, move on to something else. And if it does work, it automatically moves into game design or game development and out of prototype stage. So I don't really have a prototype stage. It's just the first 3 layers. It either works or doesn't. I don't remove anything and start from scratch once a prototype works. I know a lot of people think that's the way to go. Create a prototype quick and rough and dirty. And if it runs, then start all over and create fresh and good code and proper code, and waste of time, honestly. So just build your game always with in the best way you can, and try to be as fast as possible, because you need to release games as fast as possible. Like I mentioned in a lot of videos, time, scope, those are the most important opponents when you're trying to create games for a living. So that's it. Thanks for watching the video. Next week, new devlog for Regulator City, bunch of new stuff added. Like, subscribe, and if you have questions, drop them in the comments below, or drop by on Discord and ask them, and we'll have a fun discussion about it. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.